And we are live here for GRAPPL FPL Gameweek 27 preview / Gameweek 25-26 review / content creators in the mud, but not us. We're here. We've survived Gameweek 26. It's me, it's Jamesy, it's Andy Ogden. How are we, lads? How's it going?
Doing well, Benno. Doing very
James,
well.
you're doing well. I bet you've had a good week, mate. Although, how did United get on tonight? That's the question. I've just come in from the snow. I haven't seen any scores.
They're 3-1 up as we speak.
Oh, there you go. That's not too bad.
They scored early. They scored an early goal and they looked like they were kind of coasting. And then Betis scored about halfway through the first half, and they started to look very wobbly, as if the heads were starting to go. But they got them in at half time, and they seem to have had a good team talk and came out in the second half. They've looked an awful lot better. So, 3-1 so far.
I joke. Things have turned around, Jamesy. Can't have expected that. What do you reckon that hit the content creators more or yourself more this weekend, mate? Or would you rather just forget about it? You've done well to be here. Obviously, Crystal and A isn't here. But, I expected you to call in sick this week, to be honest with you.
It was a double sickener of a game because number one, like when I'm watching United, when I'm actually watching the match, I don't think about FPL. It just goes out of my head. It's secondary to wanting them to win and all that kind of stuff. But like, it was such a miserable game. They were goal after goal, and I was like, I'd sold Salah and Nunez that week as well. So and a 32-point loss I made basically. If I just kept them and made no transfers last week, I would have been up 32 points on the team I had. Like, so it was like fuck's sake. Like, not, it got to the point where it was 4-0 and I knew the game was gone. And then I was starting to think about FPL. It was like, okay, let's just not get any Nunez or Salah goals now. It was like another Salah goal, another Salah assist. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake, this is just the worst day ever.
Look, I'm going to spend a lot of time on this podcast making fun of the content creators and their and their wildcards last week, just because all it was is I was fortunate enough not to have to. Like, when I get into my team, I was a couple of hits away from the same team as every other fucker, so I didn't really escape it. And like the lad Stu and Work we've mentioned last time, who's the main rival in the Work mini league, he had Salah, he had Robbo, who else did he have? Darwin, all three of them, and I was looking at his team on Saturday morning thinking, oh, I fancy this week. I think I can pull away. Nope. Just by virtue of being a Liverpool supporter and sitting still, he's had me off by, honestly, the swing. It's not even an exaggeration. I think the swing's about 40 points. Like, it's just, what can you do when that happens? Like, it was an unpredictable one. But yeah, I felt you in our little group chat, you and Chris Elliott and the like, just as that went on. It just got to a point, didn't it, where you just had to kind of shrug your shoulders and, have a bit of laugh at Bruno.
You just laugh. But also, like, it's like we've kind of gotten used to being hammered in the last few years anyway. Like, I mean, last season was that every single weekend. It was miserable, you know what I mean? So, like, fine, it was the worst defeat in however many years and all that, but like, we're still in so much of a better place than we were last season even, you know what I mean? Like, I do feel like it was a bit of just one of those games where everything goes wrong, and it's not one of those games where you start thinking everything is wrong with the team. It was just like the first half was very even. I actually thought United did well. They weathered the storm in the first 20 minutes. They kind of took control of the game after that in the first half, made a couple of good chances. I was a bit disappointed to be a goal down at halftime, and I kind of thought Ten Hag would do his usual readjustment at halftime and they'd come out and do well in the second half. And it was just one of those halves. Like, Liverpool had 8 shots and 7 went in. You look at XG and all those things, and it was just one of those games where everything they hit just went in. You know what I mean? And it's, as I said, it's obviously it's a shocking defeat, and they should take a long, hard look at themselves. But it's also not the catastrophe those defeats that happened last season were. You know what I mean? We're in a much better place. That's like 1 defeat in 22 games, still going strong in 2 or 3 competitions. It's a lot more positive than last season, at least. I
was going to say, James, you must feel a bit disappointed that Man United are only 4 points ahead of Tottenham, who are shit.
That's what I keep hearing about Tottenham.
Strange, innit, with that, with the league. Like, how are they like 4th? They've been rubbish.
Yeah, they've just been scraping wins. And I think lately it's just actually starting to fall apart for them now. And it's like, Jesus, I don't know. Did you watch them last night?
No, I've seen the press conference with Conte. He looks like a defeated man now. And Richarlison's got his knives out now, hasn't
he? Yeah, like it's just, I think they should probably get rid of him now. And like, if they get rid of him now, they might have some chance of scraping top 4. Whereas if he stays there, I think the season's just going to drag along till the end, and they probably have no hope of top 4. So.
Yeah, I was just there. We just went out for a meal. That's the later start tonight. Apologies for that, folks. I was out for a birthday meal for my brother, and I was out with my dad. And yeah, he's one of those Everton fans who's just like, it's over. We're going to be in the Championship. It is what it is. That's like, and I've heard it before from my dad, but I'm starting to believe it a little bit. But I'm looking at that league table and just looking at the games we've got to go, and it's like, I've got plenty of faith in Dyche, but it doesn't look good right now. It really doesn't.
Hey, Benno, I've got the same feeling being a Rochdale fan. I've been looking at that league.
The weekend.
You know what? I seen that their first home win in 4 months, beating Stevenage Borough, who was second in the league. But I've been looking at the league table like, we're going down. We're going down to the conference. But it's like Crawley's had like 3 games in hand on us, but they're equally as shit. They lose every week. So it's 2 from 3 now. So it's Hulls, Hartlepool and Crawley. But it's the win last week. It's the hope that kills you. Right, we might even do it now. We might do it. But I'm never optimistic as a Rochdale fan.
I always enjoy.
Do you think Everton are gone, Benno?
I don't you know me. My season ticket days are well over, so I don't live or die with it like all my relatives do. But I've just quietly been like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. He knows what he's doing, and it's not even like the games we've had recently. It's like, I mean, that was a sickener at the weekend, obviously, but like overall, it's been like, it's fine. But then you look at the league table. And you look at the games you got, like you've like Brentford at home. It's like, I mean, Tony could score 3 easy. You know what I mean? It's like just nothing guaranteed, really. There's a look. I grew up in the lean years. My youth was spent. That wasn't like my dad when he grew up. I grew up watching like fucking early 90s. I was there at the Great Escape, the Wimbledon game when Hans Segar let that one in. Yeah, I mean, me and my dad went. We went on the day of the game, no ticket. My dad bought 1 ticket off some bloke outside, so I must have been all 10. And like we went, like he managed to like sneak me in, and I basically I was too old to be sitting on his lap, but I sat on his lap, and we were in the back row, like watching the game. It's one of my biggest memories ever. And I remember my dad being again the way he's wired. He was like, we've lost here. Let's go home. And I really wanted to stay. And he always says that. He's like, you made me stay. Like you're the only reason I stayed that day. And I knew it came back, and we won 3-2. Barry on. Graham Stewart, the Kings.
What year was that, Benno?
I think that would have been 94. I think it was.
94.
Yeah.
God, I vividly remember that day because my dad used to bring us to get our hair cut on a Saturday down to the barbers, and they'd have the football on the radio. They tune in BBC 5, but it'd be on like medium wave radio, so it'd be really bad reception.
Yeah.
And they'd have this thing blaring in the barber shop, like. I remember Everton going 2-0 down, and all of us saying, that's it. It was 2-0 they went down, wasn't it?
2-0 down and then came back 3-2.
Yeah. And everyone in the place saying that's them gone now. They're definitely gone. And then there was no matches on TV in those days. So we went around town and did a few bits and bobs. I got home and checked teletext and saw 3-2. Like, we just couldn't believe that this had happened. Like, it was mad. Yeah, mad.
Honestly, it goes down as one of the best days ever. I've got the footy. And I know Liverpool supporters laugh at that. Like the fact that we had a DVD called The Great Escape that we sold in our club shop is, it's pretty embarrassing, isn't it? They're selling like Champions League, and that's one of our best sellers. But it was a great day. It was a great bonding day with my dad and that. And like I say, Hans Segar, the hero of the day, like he came out, didn't it? Years later, he'd taken loads of bribes and stuff. He literally dives and he could absolutely get to the ball, and he just kind of pull. He's not even good at working it. It's like the worst work save ever. You look at it now and you think, how did they get away with it? Like then in the moment, it was really obvious. But yeah, you live for those days. That was it. That's a fond memory. So I think that's why I'm wired like that. I'm always like, it'll always be all right. It'll always end up okay in the end. But we'll see. But yeah, on the old FPL front though, it's been a crazy week. You will see plenty of content creators out there doing not apology videos, but being quite sheepish on their streams this week. As we recorded 2 weeks ago, and we talked through the possible situations coming up and the different weeks coming up, and we talked about when might be a good wildcard time, when might be a time to use the hits. I'd say I've never seen anything like it, but I have seen weeks like this But it really was one of those weeks, Jamesy, wasn't it, where it just felt like there was something in the water. Like there was absolutely a logic to it as far as hitting the wildcard button last week. You can't fault anyone for not thinking that Liverpool were going to, smash United 7-0. But I don't know, are the lessons to be learned from it? It just feels like once that swell happens and every YouTube video you put on is somebody else doing it, I don't know whether everyone then starts like working backwards and logicking themselves into it, going, you know what, I need to wildcard as well. It's just mass hysteria over the weekend and just a real shit show this week.
Yeah, it's there's always a game week like this in every season, isn't there? Where it's like that everybody remembers something mad happens or something, and like as
the
you
right
said,
thing to do wasn't the right thing to do.
Yeah, and like the combination of there being a mass movement, I suppose, in Twitter circles of lots of people wildcarding, and then this massive freak result happening that directly affected a lot of the assets that people took out of their teams in those wildcards as well. So, ultimately, the only difference between the wildcarders and non-wildcarders were the Liverpool assets. And you could even boil it down to just Salah. If you had Salah, you had an amazing week. If you didn't have
FPL Andy.
Poor Andy, like stuck with Salah for the whole season through thick and thin, and then made a joke on his deadline stream that week, pretending he had kept him in, and then lo and behold, he does sell him. And
because he was doing the old deadline reveal, weren't he? If people have been watching these streams all week, you know what I'm going to pick. So he did the first two, and then Salah the last. Oh God,
what a worker! What a worker! And then he didn't have him. But what I will say is, like anybody who did play the wild card, as you said, Bernard, there was logic behind it. You know what I mean? Like we are coming into a run of games now where playing the wild card is a good move because you have double game week, blank game week, double game week. And if you did play your wild card in 26, the whole thing was to set you, not just this week, but you were trying to set yourself up to have as many doublers this week upcoming, get a decent team on the pitch for 28, and then go hard at 29. And like wild card bench boost is the age-old tactic that most people play with their wild card, So like there was logic to it, you know what I mean? But I mean, maybe the one that was a little bit iffy was going so early on the wild card. Like, could they not have played the wild card this week now in 27? And look at the new info we have since then. The Brighton goalkeeper going out. There is a bit of question about weather. There's the weather over in England at the moment. There are things have happened. You'd have given.
You lads have got your water bottles out. I've got my heater on. It's that time.
The hot water bottle here.
The main one's the Brighton Leeds match, innit? I've seen Andy do a bit of a weather update. Like, people in Leeds are telling me it's not sticking well outside my window, and I'm about an hour away from Leeds in Rochdale, and it started sticking on the roads now. But generally, Premier League grounds are good with the pitches. It's more the thing that
be the transport
to call it. It's the transport, isn't it?
And it's a big one. It's Brighton, so that's the double game. That's the team most people have 3 players from as well. So that's the double game week effect straight away. Like it's not just Leeds Wolves where you might have 1 player on your bench. It's a big game that affects a lot of people's plans again. You know what I mean? It's one of these seasons where everything is just blown up in people's faces. And do you know what? Do you know the one conclusion I took from the whole thing was that long-term planning is in this game is. It's the most enjoyable part of the game for me is actually planning my weeks out in advance and, playing with different options and saying, no, that's, I'll book in this transfer this week, next week. But also it's a bit of a waste of time. You have to think on your feet. Someone gets injured. Ivan Toney could have got a yellow card the other night and we'd all be wondering, should he be in our teams? Yeah. Brighton decide to drop their goalkeeper that they haven't dropped in 3 years this week, and loads of people brought Sanchez in on their wild card and now they're thinking, what have I done there? 2 weeks ago, the fashion was get rid of Martinelli. And then in the last, he's back. He's flavour of the month. He's back banging them in. It's
that's why Linney's not here, by the way, because that happened the morning he was dropped. Linney was in our chat going, he's dropped. He's not playing. And I fell for it. I went for it, and then he scored. Got 6 points anyway.
And then in the double game week, got 28 or something.
I think some had him as like triple captain one week, and.
don't even want to look at him versus Odegaard because that's who I switched him to. I did that.
Yeah.
And that was a content creator. There was a week where it was like everyone was like, oh, I'm going to sidestep into different Arsenal players. And like, people getting rid of Ben White, who scored this week,
Yeah. But again, it was logical. It was logical to think that now Arsenal have signed a player, Martinelli would get less minutes. You know what I mean? So, as long as you can look back at any move you made and say, look, I did it based on this evidence. My reasoning was this, this, and this. I really don't think, and I still think, if you were on a wild card this week, that getting rid of Liverpool players probably was the best move because they played United, who are the best form team in the country since the World Cup. So they're playing United last week. This week they've an okay match. They blank in 28, and then their double is Man City away and Chelsea away. Yeah. So the fixtures weren't great, you know what I mean? So the logical thing to do there was to dump Liverpool players. So again, I did that. I lost out on 32 points, but also if I had the chance to do that again faced with those fixtures, I would do the same thing. You know what I mean? So as long as you can look back at your decisions and go, okay, I shouldn't have done, I only did that because I listened to someone else, or I decided myself to do it because I thought this, and this was a good reason. And these players I brought in, I thought would score more over those 3 weeks. Then there's no point in beating yourself up too much about
That's
it.
The way you got to look at it, isn't it? Because I was, as much as I want to laugh at it and dance on the grave of it, and I will a little bit still. I can't help myself. But
no better man.
We had a bit of back and forth in our group, didn't we? Where you were kind of explaining the logic of it, and I was going, I just don't see it. People are breaking the teams to, it's not the biggest argument to bring in Brighton and Brentford players because right now, Brighton's midfielders are smashing it. Brentford have got plenty of good options. That wasn't necessarily the issue. And I think the other thing is, my position on it was stacked by the fact that I had Kane already. I had most of the key players in. And if anything, I did the same thing the wildcarders did, but spent 8 points to do it. So, we'll go through my team in a bit. And it did work out in the end, but, I'm not exactly, I've got a high hill to look down on people on. But I think the biggest thing that put me off was that you say it's long-term planning and that's fun, but it's a long way from the end of the game. And the thing I kind of said to you at the time was like, I prefer having my wild card in my back pocket, spending 8 points and getting to basically the same team everyone's got. And I basically recouped those 8 points. So that was nice. But looking at it and going, 31 or so, when we get more doubles in 34 and 37, and they're not the best doubles ever, but just looking at the quality of the teams that might be knocking around then and being able to do that. And also the flexibility of I'm not nailed down to 30, 31, 32, could be 33. I'm pretty open. I'm going to dead end to one of those weeks. I just don't know which week it is. And then I'm going to attack the remaining weeks. And it was just having that freedom and that, like you say, anything can happen kind of attitude that just made me think it's just not worth it. I just don't see it. I think that is the biggest argument against it is the one you said there, the fact that people probably could have just waited a week just to see the lay of the land. And maybe, that's not hindsight. I say that because that's maybe a lesson to take forward, isn't it? For future to be think it through. Is there a reason I have to do it this week?
Yeah, and you're allowed to take a victory lap because you were saying it at the time. You're not just sitting here now going, haha, I kept my Liverpool players. You said it at the time, so you have the receipts, you know what I mean? So that's fair enough, you know what I mean? But it's like when you have people who afterwards say it, it's a bit like, come on, you weren't saying that at the time, you know what I mean? So that's the difference as well, I think,
It was interesting, Andy, here because GRAPPL Gareth on the Spotlight pre-show, we were talking a bit of FPL, as we do sometimes. He said he's going to jump on here at some point. It'll be when he's had a good week. This week actually might be a good one to do that.
I'm surprised he's not on this week.
Yeah. Well, he was saying, for him, he just drowns out all the content creator stuff. It's just not his bag. If anything, he aggressively doesn't like the culture of content creators that I think we've all kind of fell into. For you, Andy, you're a man who marches by your own drum when it comes to this effort. Did you just tune all that stuff out as it was happening? What was your thought process?
Yeah, so it was one of them that once you listen to all the content creators like your FPL Andys and the ones who you follow on Twitter like Focal and so on and so forth, you just end up with the same team, and it becomes a bit boring, doesn't it? Yeah. When everyone's got the same, especially. I think it was Saturday morning because I had Mahrez on my bench and then found out the news he wasn't playing and thinking, well, my team's very much the same. I'll bring Foden in for a -4 and just for a bit more interest, to be honest. Because, yeah, if you're just getting the same points as everyone else, it's just like, well, why bother?
No, it is. That's the thing. How many times did you scroll Twitter on Saturday or Friday, and it felt like you were seeing the same team over and over and over again?
I think when Linné put his wildcard team, because he'd been doing it in pub on Friday, and he sent his wildcard team. I was like, you just copied FPL Andy there and everyone else. But it's when you, like, I've been watching and like this week, and it's the same again. The ones who I'm thinking of putting in, or like everyone's got the same Brighton and Brentford players. It's like, fucking why bother? Well, it is, but you've got to think like later down the line in 2 weeks when there's all them doubles and Haaland's got hard games or he's not playing, and the options you're thinking is Ollie Watkins or Evan Ferguson. Lo and behold, go on to FPL Andy today. Oh, I'm thinking of bringing Ollie Watkins in.
That's the thing that bothers me. It's the not, because I've literally seen content creators be like, the ones who didn't even fall for it, being like, who shall I transfer out, lads? Salah or Kane? And it's like, Salah's got Bournemouth away. Kane's got...
Well, he didn't score against Bournemouth, if you remember.
Don't do it to bring it. I got as much as Brentford and Brighton have got 2 games. Like, just maybe learn a lesson. Like, go in, don't get me wrong, but maybe don't go all in. Maybe, pay attention to that. I don't know. What are we to say? So it's me and you can't talk, Andy. James, you can. You're still in the top, 20k or thereabouts, so you're allowed to give out. We hop on the back of you, mate. You're the credibility for this. Content creators. I suppose we technically are ourselves now.
Hey, Ben. No, my credibility was all right till we started the podcast again. I'll keep sliding back down to where it belongs.
That's how it goes.
We're the noise distracting you, Andy. When you had your own time and your own, just nobody at you, nobody annoying you, just your own time to think about your picks, you were absolutely fine.
I've heard, Jamesy, a rumor this week that Mr. Chips might have not used any chips or any hits. So, I don't know whether that's how good or bad influence, but we'll
still a few days to go, mate.
Yeah. The week is young yet.
Chris Elliott will say, though, he remembers Salah against Bournemouth the previous time.
9-0, wasn't it? 9-0 returns.
That was when I used my triple captain that week as well. It was early doors. Yeah.
That one, like, that's absolutely one where, that's the argument in it, James. It's outcome versus, like the working it out. If someone told you Liverpool were winning 9-0, you would lump your house on. If someone gave you a book that had predictions in it and told you the future, you put your house on Salah getting something, like an assist, anything. Understandable, that one.
That's what this game is like. It's and something mad will happen this weekend now that nobody, like, there's a bit of a movement towards people selling Haaland this week.
That's the one. That's what I meant. Rather than
as from Black Box, he was doing a stream there this morning, and he hasn't played his wild card, so he was very much to your line of thinking, Benno, that my team is okay. I'll just I'll use my free transfers, and he had a great week last week. But this week he's sold Haaland to get Tony, and there's been a bit of a movement towards that. And I suppose the thinking is in the next 3 weeks, Haaland has 2 matches, and Tony has 5. So who's going to get the most points? You know what I mean? And it's
Parliament. Tony gets suspended and sent to prison.
Or Haaland just gets a hat trick, and that's the end of it. You know what I mean? Like, and it would suit my team better for the we'll talk about it when we'll talk about it when we get to picks and all that.
Well, we'll bring you your team now, but you've just reminded me of something we've got to say before we get going properly. Like, I thought the lead story on this podcast, like, this feels like years ago now. But that Saturday when Andy managed to ship Tony to Chris Linné in the draft, like, people didn't see.
You have to tell the listeners that better.
It was so good. Like, literally, Andy, you were in the moment. Like, it was like, you had offers from me, from other teams to take him off your hands. You gave him to Linné, and literally, it was maybe 3 or 4 minutes later, the news story popped in that he was taking
pled guilty.
Guilty,
what
It
it
worked
were,
out alright in the end, but fucking hell, that was so funny.
I
Yeah,
was
that was
on
brilliant.
the Metrolink to I was going seeing Chadderton FC for the first time. Fucking windy as fuck evening. But I was and Sid Fabianski, who I had in my net, was like injured for quite a few weeks. So I like, crap, I need to do it, get a trade. So I think there were about 3 or 4 in the draft league who was offering me players, and I seen Lene put Kepper and Tony for Fabianski. No, Kepper and Isaac for who are it now? Tony and Fabianski. I'm like, oh, I'll have that. Do that straight away. It was just after I got off the tram. I've seen everything in the chat. Did you know about this, Andy? I was like, no. It's supposedly being done for his gambling thing, but thankfully he's
still
well,
going.
Yeah. He's still going, but Alexander Isak in my team, bag of shite. So, but then again, we'll get in the draft later where he's done better than me proper team.
Yeah, for Tony, I am more worried about like his yellow cards than I am the actual possibility that anything's ever going to happen there. Like, presumably, if it does, it'll be after the international break. So
they said it's probably going to be April.
Yeah,
it gets us beyond.
It would have been funnier if it was literally you transferred him to Chris and then the second later he was suspended for the rest of the season. But worked out well. But yeah, like I say, we should have a look at the teams and the damage of how we done. I'll say poor Chris's team for last. We have to show it because he was one of the many wild carders. But we'll go to you first, Jamesy, and yeah, we've got you up here the 56 points for the game week for game week 26. We'll have a quick look at 25 as well. But you took a -4 to get to that point, and yeah, like you say, not the greatest of weeks. It hasn't had a huge effect, has it, on your overall rank?
No,
yeah.
It actually turned out okay. Like I had played my wild card in 25. You might remember last time we were on. I was going
to ask about that. Yeah. Did you regret it?
A little, but not too much. I'm still nicely set up for the next few weeks anyway. My whole
week, to be fair.
Yeah, it was a great week, and like my whole thing I was really badly set up. That was the particular week where Liverpool doubled and Arsenal doubled, and I was badly set up for Liverpool players.
Tarkowski with his zero.
Tarkowski played. I needed to get him to get money for Salah. That's my excuse anyway.
0 with a double. It's amazing.
He's had 0 in the last 3 weeks. Would you believe? And he's been sitting at most people's benches ever since. But yeah, so like it was my whole thinking with playing the wild card at 25 was I was badly set up for that particular week, and I could find a way to be nicely set up for all the doubles and the blank. So I said, look, it's a nice long-term option, and I mean, if and that was a great week, 91 points, brilliant week, delighted with that. If I had kept my nerve at that point and just played pretty much that team this week, I'd be laughing. I reckon I would be close enough to the top 1K at this point. I'd be 32 points better off.
Isn't it?
Yeah. So what happened was I played my wild card in 25, and then what hurt me was, and this is what I'm talking about, having information. So the FA Cup matches happened the same midweek as the second matches in the double, and like there was some big surprises there. Spurs were knocked out, and what was the other shock, Andy, in the FA Cup?
Southampton getting beat by Grimsby.
Lost to Grimsby.
No one predicted that.
No, and the chances of Spurs and Southampton playing each other, it was practically nil in 28 because you would have needed them both to lose their matches. So I assumed that match wasn't going to happen in 28 and the Spurs were going to blank. So I got rid of Kane on my wild card thinking, okay, he's blanking in 28. I could do without him for a while. And then I was like, oh, people are going to pile onto Kane. He's going to be a big risk to my rank. So this week, I said, I have to get Kane back in now. I want to have him for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and I don't want to lose rank because everyone else has him. So I sold Salah, sold Darwin, and brought in Kane and Solly March, who got 2 points each, and the other two lads got 34 between them or something like that, it's a sickener, but it is what it is. It's one of those decisions where, again, I could apply a reasonable amount. As I said earlier, like I looked at Liverpool's fixtures for the next 4 and thought they weren't great. I thought Kane could easily outscore them. I thought Kane has such high ownership that it would kind of hurt my rank not to have him for the next few weeks. And I brought in Solly March, who I'll have next week for the double. So okay, it was a bad decision in isolation this week, but it will hopefully serve me well for the next few weeks. And maybe after 29, I look back on it, and that points difference between those two moves mightn't be so bad. Let's see.
That's the time to look at it, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like, people are panicking about decisions they've made. I think any decision you make in the next few weeks, wait till after 29.
Yeah.
And then like the wild carders might come out on top by the time 29 comes around. Like, they might get some massive scores out of players that are in their team that they wouldn't have been in their team if they didn't wild card. So I don't think anybody should panic about decisions they've made yet.
No.
And this week, it was a good week. Like, Jesus, I was talking to you guys in the group chat. There was a 10-minute period on Saturday afternoon where Ben White scored, Matoma scored, and like all my clean sheets came in at once. Kepa, my 3 defenders and my goalkeeper all got clean sheets.
It's always a great feeling, that defence. Cole coming in.
Yeah. I was for the last 10 minutes of those kickoffs, I was waiting for a goal to go in against me. And like, my rank went from something like 18,000 up to 3,000 based on all those. And I was thinking, wow, Jesus, this game week is really going well. Now, obviously, Sunday happened then and completely undid all that good work. Look, I would call it a solid week. And in a week where I wasn't on Liverpool assets, to get a tiny green arrow, I'd take that as a win any week and run. I think I'm reasonably happy to have come out of it relatively unscathed. Thanks to the likes of Tyrone Mings there getting a clean sheet for Villa, exactly.
And that Matoma could have been any other Brighton player, couldn't he? Could have been March.
And I had March on my bench, it was literally, which of those two do I play? I said,
I would say
my reasoning was Matoma's a slightly more exciting player, so play him.
More fun to watch.
Watching the highlights of Brighton on Match of the Day, they just look scary going forward. I mean, West Ham were poor, but like, Brighton looked really good, really good.
They're a serious team, and the big roller coaster of the day was Ben White, because I kept him on my wild card. Most people on their wild cards went on to.
That's Gabriel. An interesting call.
Gabriel weren't it?
I needed the few quid, so I just got the cheap defender. Right. That was literally it. And I thought he's thinking to myself, Ben White, pretty well nailed. Lo and behold, the team sheet comes out on Saturday. Ben White benched, and I'm like, oh God. And they're playing Bournemouth. Surely to God, that'll be a clean sheet that I'll miss out on. 6 seconds into the match, Bournemouth score. So I'm like, great, that's fine. I've dodged a bullet there. Happy days. And then he gets subbed on at halftime. And then there was the cross came over, and I couldn't see who scored, and I thought it was Martinelli, and I was cursing. I was going, oh fuck, I don't have Martinelli now. That's another player I don't have scoring. And then it popped up, Ben White had scored off the bench. I was like, Jesus, like that's where pure luck. Like, that's
first ever goal, wasn't it?
First ever goal in the Premier League. Yeah, like that's nobody doing the research properly. That's not anybody making a pick. That's just pure blind luck that goes your way sometimes. You know what I mean? And that's the way the game goes. And you know what? Those 7 points probably was the difference in my game week between me having a tiny green arrow and probably a pretty substantial red arrow, to be honest. You know, so that's the way the game goes. You know, it's I had bad luck, you could say, with the Liverpool players, but that was my stroke of luck for the weekend as well, and I'll take it and run. You know.
God, you've got to. I'm looking overall. You're still in the. I thought you'd slipped out the top 10k. Still in the top 10k. 9,000.
Just hung on in there, like
182. There you go. Yeah. Just shows you, doesn't it? It's been a bad week in like hardcore circles and everyone you're kind of follow on Twitter and whatever, but still a good week compared to the overall, gem pop, isn't it? So definitely take it.
Yeah, I think the slight differential was I did my wild card a week before those guys. And I had Tyrone Mings in it because I was looking ahead to the fact that they would play in 28 and doubled further after that. And those guys don't have a Villa player. Most of the guys who did 2 Newcastle, 1 Brentford defender, a Brighton defender, and an Arsenal defender. And I just happened to go a week early and have a Villa defender in there, So these little things make any little difference away from the norm can actually be very helpful to you, so that's a very kind of nice example of it there as well,
Definitely. Well, yeah. Overall, not a disaster. Like I say, still in the top 10k. Still giving this podcast its credibility, mate. We'll take it. We're all cheering you on. Not looking jealously on at all, honest. But yeah, switching over to Team Graps and Claps to go through the 2 weeks. Game week 25, you had a decent week, Andy. 76 points on on that one. No idea who that is. Badia Shill. Sorry, it's not shared, is it? There we go. 76 points. Badia.
Oh, he's the Chelsea defender. It was dropped that week, and then Thiago Silva's Thiago Silva's injured, so he's back in now. They signed him from Monaco, I think in like January. He's actually a pretty decent defender, but I did all right there to say I didn't play with 11 players.
No, that's a fine score, yeah, 76 for blank.
But still 5.5 million for the week, just cause.
4 million for the week in 26 though, 47 points. There you go. I didn't realize he there. I'll keep an eye on him for me wild card that might be coming up at some point.
Yeah, he's about 5 million or so.
Not on my radar at all. Saka as captain, same as Jamesy. That's a disappointing one, especially with the Liverpool players banging.
The thing was everyone was either choosing between Haaland and Saka, and I think Saka had the easier fixture rather than Haaland. Watching the City game on Saturday lunchtime, didn't do much. Haaland, I was sort of like happy he didn't.
That was it. Even though he's in your team, like I was like that. It was like, ooh, because I gambled, I went Saka as well. And when he's only got 4, you're kind of like, nice, isn't it? You're like, oh, okay, we're on here. And then Saka does nothing. But if he'd have banged, the story of this week would be complete. The narrative would be so different if that swing had happened, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he looked threatening as ever, but he didn't look to have many chances from the highlights. The change I mentioned earlier about taking Mahrez out and putting Foden in. I like, it worked straight away, like get in there. But I swapped him into the team and put Matoma on the bench just for something different. Lo and behold,
that's a sickener.
He scored. So it made me think after. It's like, why didn't I just swap Odegaard out and put Matoma in? But it's after the event, isn't it?
Easy to look back, isn't it?
Yeah, Ivan Toney. Well, I took Darwin out, didn't I? But and put Ivan Toney in, setting up for the weeks to come. Darwin hadn't been doing anything, has he, for weeks on end, and then he pops 2 away. It's another one of those. It's an obvious move to make. It just, it worked out in a way, and it didn't. Kane 2 points just because Tottenham is shite. Rashford had a bad week because United just had an off one.
I just wanted a consolation goal, anything, because he came close, didn't he? Like, I would have taken that. I would have taken an assist, anything, like just anything would have helped this week.
Yeah. But as a week, 47, it's above the average. I don't think I'm dropping so much, really. I'm still like 1.5 million. I was like 1.1 about 2 weeks ago, so I'm still in that. Still
in a dogfight with me, mate, is where you are. Probably not a good sign.
Still not too bad. Estupinan, I think he's definitely one everyone's going to have in the team, aren't they? When you see the ownership levels for this week, he could be up in the like 70s and 80%.
I'm considering bringing him in this week. It's just whether I can carry him next week when
But when I would say when Jeff showed us his team at weekend, and he took, like James, he was saying, like taking gambles on like some players. He put in James Maddison and Kelechi Iheanacho for Leicester because they're against Southampton. We're watching some game on Saturday evening when we're in pub, just like, good God, why did you put these duffers in? But it's always
some chances, Iheanacho.
Yeah, well, it's been the case with our Jeff's team this season. It's like he's been doing the correct moves, but taking -4s and that. But it's just not paid off for him.
He could easily have had 20+ points between the two of those lads.
Yeah,
because they kept literally Maddison kept setting up Iheanacho, and Iheanacho kept missing. Like, it was ridiculous. I was thinking, God, if I own those two, like. It just, again, that wasn't a bad move that he made. And on another day, he'd be laughing. I mean, if those two had hauled, his rank could just skyrocket because no one has.
People are going to be starting getting on Leicester players, aren't they, with to navigate the blanks.
Chris Linnea was actually saying to us on Sunday in the pub about Iheanacho. If he went to a much bigger club, like in the summer, he could end up getting like 10, 15 goals a season.
Easy.
Oh, easy.
Yeah.
Easy. Well, this is my lot. 60 points. Biggest story of my week isn't what's on the pitch, but I'm quite proud of it. I took an 8-point hit to, don't avert your eyes. That is not a wild card team, although it looks like it in some ways, and it definitely will this week when you see the transfers I got planned. But yeah, I did. I had Bueno and Mahrez sitting there on my team, who both got 0 this week. Shipped them out, and Darwin, who was the negative one, I shipped out. Didn't even have Salah, so I was never in the game as far as that concerned. So that made my life feel better. So yeah, Bueno, Darwin, and Mahrez became Pinnock with his 7 points, Tony with 8 points, and Matoma with 13 points. So if a -8 was ever going to pay off, like I ended up about, I think, 10 points in credit. Now, that's a technicality because if I look at it reasonably, if I kept Mahrez in my squad, Andreas would have came in, Trippier would have came in for whoever I had in defense, and Bueno in defense. I would have at worst ended that up even. So, I'll take.
But you're also set up now for the doubles.
That's it.
Like
and
you didn't just make that move for last week.
Yeah.
Just for
And the only negative there is that it's the lack of Liverpool that's killed me. But I've got to be honest with myself, it was never happening. The week they had the double, I couldn't make it happen. I couldn't get to Salah. I had too many other fires to pour out. I had Darwin as my little safety net for that, and I got rid of him this week. But again, like you say, logicked him out. So I'm with the wild card on that one, and like you say, James, he's set up for going forward. Main disappointment is Saka as captain not coming off, but yeah, when translate Pinnock, Matoma, and Tony are pretty much not only have paid off as a hit, but they're 3 highest scoring players as well, along with Ben White, who, like you said before, James, he was a massive roller coaster. I suppose the only other negative is looking at Ward and Pereira on my bench. I'm thinking, could have been a bench boost, but I can do better on that. I think.
I think I read somewhere about Andreas. He's got the most assists this season, hasn't he?
Yeah,
he's been brilliant for a 4.5 million. Like I'd say, he's the best 4.5 million midfielder I can remember in a lot. Like usually I'd have a 4.5 guy on my bench, and he'd be like a defensive midfielder. You're happy if he comes off the bench and gets you 2 or 3, and that's the limit of it. Like, but for the is it 10, 11 assists he has now? I think in the season.
Yeah, he's been like, he was one of the original IWC picks, weren't he, from the start?
That one paid off.
But a good one in fairness.
Not Leon Bailey and Nico Williams.
Yeah.
But he's the type who, when he gets points on your bench, you can't complain because that's what he's there for. He's literally there.
Exactly.
Because if he came in and one of your players didn't play, you'd be fucking made up, wouldn't you? And that's why he's a great first sub. So, if anything, I'm a little bit worried because I'm probably going to, with my plans coming up, end up getting rid of him to be able to, without using my wild card, navigate 28 and 29. That might turn out to be a mistake. I can always get him back, obviously, with the price. But yeah, definitely had a consideration there. But all in all, quite happy with me 60 points. Definitely still looking jealous at some of the Liverpool stacked teams. But, we move, as is said. But
you're very well set up, Benno. Like looking at that team, as you said, it's not a million miles away from those wildcard teams. No. And you still now have your wild card in your pocket. You still have your triple captain, don't you?
Triple captain, bench boost, free hit.
Everything. You're going to run out of weeks. That's what's going to happen.
I know. I've got your voice in the back of my head because you said that last time, and I was like,
make sure to earmark one of them for your triple captain because you'll end up
like
a football.
You're like a football team with all them games in hand. Oh, look, I've got all them games in hand. Don't mean you've got the points, does it?
Well, when we look at our future plans, my FPL.team, I've been on that again. Amazing resource. But next week it will just look like a wild card team, and I think I can get through 28. And I actually think without a wild card, I can still bench boost in 29. And this is without any more hits. I've took my hits now. I'm pretty much ready. So I'm happy.
That's even better, Benno. Get the bench boost out of the way because it's a pain. And in a way, if you're playing the wild card with the bench boost in mind, it weakens your wild card in a way, and it leaves you then with like all of us who wild carded now, we're going to have really strong benches for the next few weeks. And like I'm leaving Odegaard on my bench this week probably. You know what I mean? Like it's madness, So if you can just get it out of the way before your wild card, you don't have that problem in future, and that could be really beneficial.
And like we said, a nice problem to have is I'm looking at the game weeks coming up and going, where's the triple captain going? Like, I regret not
Would you
going.
do it this week? Would you stick it on Tony or Matoma or one of those boys? Or
Don't think so. I don't
no?
think so. I think I've got. Well, let's have a look. I'll show you. Let's have a look at the weeks we've got coming up. So, like, what I'm looking at going forward, like, so yeah, this week there are options, like you say. It could go Tony, it could go Matoma. I'm looking at the 29. That's going to be a bench boost week. But I think as we were looking at, I think possibly one of those United doubles in 34 or 37 to go on Rashford.
Cities in 34, Benno, could be Fulham
30.
and West Ham. That'd be bad. That
Not
wouldn't be
many
bad.
people have got, not many people have got them left. If it's the flex,
Yeah.
like you say, flexibility, the key word of the day for me.
Yeah.
As far as that, 'cause like,
Yeah.
it could go that route. I suppose Liverpool, even things continue to turn around.
Yeah.
Villa and Fulham.
Look at that one at 37, Benno. Yeah, that wouldn't be bad.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then the game will get called off or something like that.
Teams will be on the beach then, won't they?
Yeah, that's the issue. You can't.
But Liverpool won't be. Liverpool will be fighting for top 4.
Yeah.
So they'll be full steam ahead, and like the likes of Villa and Fulham will be on the beach because they'll have nothing to play for. They won't be close to Europe. They're safe.
Maybe it's possible. Well, what are you lads thinking? Go for? What have you got left, Jamesy? What have you got to use?
My bench boost, which will be almost, I'm just going to use it in 29 now because I kind of planned for it in the wild card, and there's no matter what combination of players I have at this point for 29, I'll get a nice one. I'm looking at having a bench with like Harry Kane on it, Haaland, my goalkeeper doubling, and one other player who's doubling. Like, that's a grand wild card. That's 6 players playing on my bench, and everyone on the pitch will be doubling. Like, so I'll play it then, and I'll be happy with that. And then I'll just have my free hit, which I'm still thinking might be most useful in 32. Because 32 is FA Cup semi-final weekend, most likely blank for United, most likely blank for City, most likely blank for Brighton. And if you look at the fixtures for 32, like a lot of it's not just that those teams are blanking. At that point, I'll probably only have 1 Arsenal player and 0 Liverpool. And you look, Arsenal have Southampton at home and Liverpool have Forest at home. So like I could get a very good team out that week that I couldn't get to normally. It's not just the blanks, it's the fact that teams I don't have a lot of ownership in have really nice fixtures there. So I did a mock-up free hit on FPL team there a while back for 32, and it looked very, very nice, and would be a huge difference to the team I normally have. So I've penciled in the free hit for then, I think. Unless maybe there's a cup upset, that means I don't have to do it. But most likely 32 I'll play in the free hit.
I like that. Like I say, I'm wired to 1, save all the chips way too late, which I seem to be doing again. History is repeating. And 2, I just can't get my head into a mode of like wanting to use a free hit in a blank. Everything
I understand
in my being wants to use it in a double. So I think for me, it's going to be no chips this week, but 29s, like you say, going to be the bench boost. And then it's going to be a toss-up between 34 and 37. One of those weeks is going to be a free hit. One of them is going to be a triple captain. And at some point before then, I'm going to be wildcarding. So my problem is going to be none of the content creators are going to help me because it's going to get to week 30, 31. None of them have got any fucking chips left. So they're not going to help me out.
I heard Az saying that his plan might be to wildcard in 30. Kind of fill your team up for the bench boost and like take out players that you might want to keep for that. And then in 30, then kind of almost you have a clean slate and go again, kind of, and start from there then.
Might be 2 peas in a pod there, because that is definitely something I'm considering as well. Obviously, this is Ben Crellin's transfer plan. He's not updated in a couple of weeks, hence why 26 is still there. But there are still random weeks, aren't there? 30 and 31 could be Brighton double, could be Newcastle double. Like, that's why look at that Brighton run. Double this week, 27. Blank 28, if you can navigate it, you can navigate it. Double 29, and then either double 30 or 31. Probably, maybe a fixture at 32. And then if not, or maybe a double in 34 or 37. Like it's just like the games they've got in hand are going to be, especially with the options everyone's got and the prices those players are. Like, if anyone's not already lumped on Brighton, I think you've got to be thinking about it in the coming weeks.
I'm pretty sure it's 5 doubles. It has to be 5 because they have games already postponed that they have to play. Yeah, they're probably going to make the semi-finals of the cup.
Yeah.
So I think it's 5 doubles they'll have. And as you said, Benno, like they're 5 million midfielders, and it's not just that. It's not just that. And you're getting a 5 million. You're getting 5 million midfielders in a. They're a seriously good team.
Yeah.
Like since the new guy took over De Zerbi, they've been on as good a form as any team, really. You know what I mean? And one of his philosophies is if they go 2-0 up, a lot of teams kind of put the handbrake on and kind of sit back and start defending. His philosophy is keep going. I don't want to win 2-0. I want to win 4-0. If I get 4, I want 5. So they'll just keep attacking. You know what I mean? And I definitely think people should be on triple Brighton and just leave them in the team for the rest of the season now, because it's just that kind of opportunity for that. Like, and you're literally giving yourself money for the rest of your team as well, because normally we'd have 7-8 million midfielders in our teams. Now you can have 2 5 million midfielders.
I don't think there's a Brighton player over 6 million, is there, in the game? Everyone's under 6 million.
Yeah. Even Evan Ferguson, like a starting striker for 4.6, and he gets, like, you know, he might only play 60 minutes, but like for 4.5 million, you know, think of what that money could do for the rest of your team as well. You know what I mean? And he's a good player that in the non-blank weeks you can put him on your bench. You know what I mean? And you're happy enough to have a 4.5 million striker on your bench. Like, so, you know, they're a great opportunity, Brighton. And like if someone is listening to this and doesn't have 3 Brighton, that should be your priority. Just get on them now.
Yeah. I'm someone who doesn't right now, so I'm giving that advice out, but it is also team dependent. It's because I need to get through 28. Don't get me wrong, after 28, I'll have triple Brighton. At the minute, I can probably afford to carry 1 or 2. I've got 1 right now, which is Matoma. Maybe I can carry a second, but I'll show you. I'll show you what I'm looking at the minute. But how are you set for the next few weeks, Andy? And there that takes your fancy as far as fixture run-ins go. You're a big you going back to triple Newcastle at the back, or
not funnily enough, over the last couple of weeks I've changed my mind, because I were thinking, I might go back to the Newcastle way. But this week I'm doing no transfers at all, because my team's basically set up with Brighton and Brentford.
I've got the first time ever that you've rolled. In your life.
I still don't believe it. I think between now and the deadline,
he'll be in the chat on Saturday morning. -8, lads.
No. I just think I've got enough players in my side to, cover this week, cover the doubles. Looks very good. 28 is where I'm looking to use my 2 transfers while I've saved up, and that's mainly to maybe ship out Foden and Haaland for about 2-3 weeks, because they've got the blank and they've got Liverpool, and then it's moving it either to, a bit like Watkins, or I was thinking of going back to Miguel Almiron, but they couldn't cow's ass with a banjo at the moment, Newcastle. But they have got decent fixtures. They've got decent fixtures coming up.
Especially when you're yourself, Andy, and you haven't got any chips left. Like, they are like they're not skipping any weeks, and there's doubles in there. Like,
I was on the FPL team planner looking at 29, and when you're looking like, Odegaard's on benches, Odegaard's on benches got 1 game, and like Haaland would have been on the bench. Just seeing the amount of players in my team who've got doubles that week, and you see the predicted points about 90 odd, I'm just like, way, get in. Here we come. And then it's just working out from there, from 30, 31. Depends how knackered Brighton and Brentford get with all the games. I know they've been mentioning maybe a Stupinan, because he's the only left back. He'll probably have to play all the games, but the other option is Tariq Lamptey, who's, he's half decent, but he's no a Stupinan. And then later down the line, I don't know when April falls. Do I get rid of Tony? I'm just waiting till April, maybe, to cut him in when he gets sent down.
I think they're open for that to happen as late as possible, because then he's out for the summer, isn't he? Which is a great deal. I'd take that.
A 6-month ban that includes the summer,
But no, I think I'm set up all right. I know me. Like you said, I'll make a couple of transfers Saturday like a dick, but it's one of the why should I really? If me team,
the game's supposed to be fun, though, isn't it? You know, and that's the thing. News might pop in, in the morning, or you might like consider going further in on the right. That's it. Anything else stand out for you, Jamesy, from the running coming up?
No, but it just goes to show, like, the fact that, like, Andy hasn't had a wild card and he can still look at his game week 29 and have a team full of doublers. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just goes to show, you know what I mean? Like, all the talk of I needed my wild card to set up for 29. You know, you haven't played your wild. Like, have you any idea off the top of your head how many you'll have doubling, Benno, as it stands without a wild card?
Well, yeah, I'll show you. So, like, yes, so FPL.team, which is an amazing resource if people aren't using it already. Get yourself on there. I've plotted out my entire running pretty much to like 30-31. But again, with flexibility, with the thought of this might be this player, that might be that player. Like, I'd recommend anyone to use it. And if you do use it, if you scroll down to the bottom, the fixtures, our good friend James at Planet FPL has provided them with his projected fixtures, which is what he expects some of these doubles to drop in. So if you click this handy little button at the bottom, it then switches some of the other fixtures around. You can do it yourself manually as well if you're convinced like one fixture is going to be somewhere else, but gives you a very good idea. It might not be guaranteed about how things are going to fall. So yeah, definitely recommend that. But yeah, for me, so this week coming up, and this isn't guaranteed, Henry for Brentford is the probable transfer in, but that could be a Brighton defender instead. That's what I'm thinking at the minute. So that sets me up for this game week 27 with basically a team full of doublers plus Rashford at home to Southampton, Kane at home to Forest, Haaland away to Palace, and the Arsenal midfielders away to Fulham. If anything, I've got a benching headache. Like, I'd like to play Shaw too.
Would you bench boost that, Benno?
Maybe.
It's not bad.
Maybe. But the thing is, if I go this route and I go with Henry rather than a Brighton defender, which was always my plan, that was going to be a stupid now until I had a proper look at FPL.team. In 28, it gives me a full team out because Brentford play and Brighton don't. And that's something that people should definitely keep in mind. Yeah. So it's 10 men with, Haaland not playing. I'm probably not going to go the content creator route and ship Haaland out. And I don't really want to ship the United players or Matoma out. So I think I'm just going to go with 10 in game week 28, which is the blank game week. And the reason being is if we get to 28 and that includes a transfer in for what Maddison might be the transfer in there. It could be a Chelsea player. Basically, could be a Newcastle player. Basically, I'm looking in 28 at someone who plays 28 and has a double 29. So that's
I think Maddison's a good move, Benno.
Yeah, I think probably leave your Chelsea ones alone because they're always in and out. I mean, like Mudryk, they spent all that money on him. He's like on the bench one week and in another week, so you don't really know. Even Mason Mount's another. Can't trust.
At one point when I was doing my drafting like 3 weeks ago, Sterling at that spot, so that shows you how quickly things change in FPL. But I'm open-minded to it. But the way my team looks in 29,
look at them points.
Just bring Ben in as we transfer. And keep, because I've kept Shaw, I've got 5 doubling defenders with Trippier, Pinnock, Henry, Shaw, and Ben. Matoma, Maddison, and Rashford as captain there. Tony with a double. Haaland with a single. And there you go.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Ward with a double.
If you click bench boost down there, Benno, it'll show you the proper predicted points for what you just click it there.
There we go.
Yeah, look, 129. Predicted points, 130.
And that's literally a bench of Ward with 2 games for the audio listeners, Kane, Everton away, and Odegaard and Saka, who a lot of people are going to be leaving out that week if they're not bench boosting.
Yeah.
And there's a possibility I'll fall for because this is spending no points as well. I could end up going, maybe I could switch Odegaard to somebody with a double, but I could just leave it. And that's a happy bench boost for 29. Like, I'm made up with that, really. A lot of it I fell into. I just happened to have a team that had Kane and had a decent
Benno, if you can put those 3 teams on the pitch without your wild card, you're laughing. Because I've played my wild card and my team is none of my 3 teams either of those weeks is as good on paper as that. Like at the moment, I can only get 9 on the pitch for 28. You know, and I need to take minuses and stuff like that to get certain players and that kind of thing. Like, so you're cruising, like, Jesus, just play it nice and cool, take no hits, and you're laughing.
That's it. And that was always the plan. You know, it looked a bit daft. Like, I was looking at some of my leagues this week and I was like the only person who took a -8, but it wasn't for last week. It was for this. And I've got those points back now. That's luck. You know, I'm not going to say that was skill, but it's set me up really nicely. And I'd just say, if anyone's looking at something similar, definitely consider, you know, who's playing 28 and also doubling 29. That's a big key to this. And maybe
probably an option
if you can. Yeah. So I'm happy with that. And even going forward, to be honest, like going into 30, the lads look all right, no blanks or doubles, but into 31, if Newcastle double, I'm looking good. Brighton double, I can always add to that.
At that point, 30, you could flip out your Brentford defender for a Stupinan or something. 31.
Yeah, that could be the route. And it's all going to depend, and this is about staying flexible. In 32, am I wild carding? Am I going what I've got? If I do nothing, I've got 10 men out.
Jesus, even 32. Oh my God, I know.
Yeah.
You are set. Honestly, you need these chips, I'm telling you.
None of it will work out. It's FPL in it, so you know it'll all go to shit. I haven't got as far as because 33 is the latest I can play the wild card realistically. So probably wild card 33. I haven't even looked at that yet. You know, which gets me into 34. You know, triple captain or free hit or whatever we'll play it. But yeah, open minded really. So I'm hoping that's going to pay off. This all sounds good. Bear in mind, folks, I am in the millions. I'm not in the top 10,000 like James. You know,
you'll be. I guarantee you, by the end of 32, you'll be well up there, Benno.
Yeah,
well up on all that.
You've made me think of James Maddison as an option now.
Yeah,
I'll be working that out tomorrow.
their double is quite nice in 29 as well.
Yeah, and
it's not just about having doublers on the pitch; it's about having
good ones,
doublers who have a good double. You know what I mean? And none of them are brilliant. But and that's the other thing. Like, you've no Liverpool, Benno, but like Liverpool's double in 29 is City away, Chelsea away.
I mean, Newcastle there have a bit of a shit double, don't they? United at home and West Ham away. With West Ham, they could get something there, but
I'm going to need you, Jamesy, mate, here when it comes to Gameweek 29 going, Benno, just leave it. Benno, just leave it. Because I'll be like, but I could get Salah. Yeah. I'll be thinking of any way I can get.
And you could as well. Like, if you sell Kane, you'd have the money for Salah.
But I've got to remember.
Do you know who'd be your friend that week? Evan Ferguson.
Yeah, true.
I was thinking that earlier as well.
Flip Kane to Ferguson and then move one of your midfield. No.
If I start taking hits,
it's
then
grand. It's grand.
In my mind, I've taken those hits. I've got to remember they've been taken. You did that for a reason. Don't ruin that by taking more hits. Like, that's what I've got to show some restraint. So yeah, every time we clock in one of these podcasts, James, I'm going to rely on you to be down. Tell me off if you notice.
Step away from the keyboard.
Right. Do it.
Yeah, you'll be the devil on the other shoulder. There we go. But yeah, we should have a look at you guys' teams coming up for the week coming up, and as far as captaincy and the like goes. I mean, before I bring them up, actually, any thoughts on captaincy for this week, Jamesy? Like as an overall kind of shout?
It's a brilliant. Like, if you look at the fixtures this week, it's a brilliant week. Like, nobody has bad fixtures this week. Of the well-owned teams, United have Southampton, Liverpool have Forest, isn't it? No, Liverpool have Bournemouth.
There you go. It's on screen now.
Yeah, nice one. Someone else has Forest, isn't it? 27. Tottenham have Forest at home. Brighton have a double. Brentford have a double. It's a nice, like, so, you know, my first instinct is Ivan Toney. And I think he'll be the most popular captain. It's 2 away fixtures for Brentford, but it's also Everton and Southampton, 2 of the bottom 3. So, I mean, you know, you've got a prolific striker, scored during the week, played really well. I watched that match on Monday night. He was very, very good. Like, he was shooting from the halfway. He's like a guy who knows he's about to go to prison and is like, I'm just going to play my heart out. Every time I get on the pitch, I'm going to play as hard as I can, because this literally could be my last game for God knows how long, you know.
I could go the other way, couldn't it? It could have easily gone the other way where his head goes down, because what's the point?
No. Yeah, exactly. So, like, Everton, Southampton, that's a lovely double. I think any of the Brighton midfielders are an option because
I've gone Matoma myself.
Leeds, Crystal Palace, that's a nice double. But also Southampton at home for United, Marcus Rashford, Liverpool away to Bournemouth if you had Salah. So it's one of those weeks where there's a lot. If you have Harry Kane, home to Notts Forest, any of those. I'm at the moment, I have to buy Ivan Toney, but he's probably going to be my captain. I'd say 90% sure I'm going to put it on Toney at the moment. He's the safe bet. He's going to be even Haaland away to Crystal Palace.
They're always a tough team for City. Then Crystal Palace
he scored 17 points against them in the home game, though.
Yeah, but they've in recent time they've been known to do them over, 3-2 matches and that. So that I'd maybe avoid Haaland this week for that reason. No, plus away games. I mentioned it last time. Not done well in away games.
Good, yeah. Is that Andy's team?
This is your lot, Jamesy. Oh, is this Andy's team or is this yours?
It's Andy's. Yeah, leave it up for Andy there.
Yeah, that's my team. That.
So, go on then, Andy. How are you looking?
Yeah, so kept Raya in net. He's the obvious choice in it for goalkeeper. It's one of them. I do want to put Luke Shaw in, same as you, Benno, but thinking Trippier at home against Wolves. Half a dozen of the other in it, like both are very attacking. So they could easily score, the same points. Ben Mee, I think he's a good choice for getting a goal from a corner. Should do against Everton. I think that could be a good one. The Stupinan, he's the obvious one. Matoma as captain, it's just a toss up between him and Toney. I think Matoma could easily get one or two, especially against Leeds. Leeds are no great shakes. I've kept Foden in. Will I fall foul of Pet Roulette like I did with Mahrez? He's on form at the moment.
I'm glad Mahrez. James, you said it the other week. Not even tactically, just the peace of mind and not having those fuckers in your team.
Just wreck your head.
Haaland accepted.
It's
not worth it, is it?
No. He looked great last week. Did Foden? Odegaard's probably the obvious one to leave.
Yellow flagged right now on a 75%. Apparently,
is it?
Not.
He didn't play for them. They played in Europe tonight, and I noticed Odegaard wasn't playing, but I just thought he was getting a rest.
Right.
Yes. illness apparently. 75% chance of playing, says the website.
Last few weeks he's only got 2s and 4s, hasn't he? But he can pop up with a 12-point week to do you over. Bad as Shields.
Maybe I'll reverse the 2-step and go back. Odegaard back to Martinelli. Ruin all my plans.
I know. Bad as Shields the obvious one to keep on the bench because Leicester away. Leicester are a much better team at home. It looks set up well. It's probably the same as everyone else's team. Sadly,
it's gonna be Matoma versus Toney this week, as you just said, Jamesy. That's exactly what it's gonna be. At the minute, I'm on Toney, but as as we've said there, Andy on Matoma. Midfielders get more points for goals. Midfielders get a clean sheet points. Yeah. That might well swing it for a lot of people. Although Toney at Goodison Park does worry me also. So there is that.
But also Leeds are so open. Leeds against Brighton,
could be 5-4 that match, couldn't
it? Easy. But this is your lot, Jamesy. The minute, like you say, captaincy sitting on Kane there.
It's just because I haven't bought Ivan Toney yet, basically. My dilemma, lads, is who to sell to buy Toney. The sensible option is just sell Watkins and bring Toney in.
I won't sell him.
But if I don't sell Watkins, who do I sell? Kane or Haaland? And the thing about the Haaland thing is, right, it's obviously it's a big risk. If I did sell Haaland, it means I get to keep Watkins.
How much money you got, Jamesy?
I've loads of money. Money's not a problem. It's I like 4.5 in the bank or something like that.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But like the thing is, if I sell Haaland and bring Tony in, I can play Odegaard this week.
Right.
If I don't, I have to bench Odegaard. So that's the first downside. The
So it's not
second
just
one
one
is,
for one, is it?
yeah, the thing is, and then if I sell Haaland, I get an extra player on the pitch in 29 without a transfer, and I get an extra player on the pitch in 28, and I get an extra doubler in 29 as well. So like there's a lot of, but like if Haaland hits a hat trick on Saturday, I'm fucked. You know what I mean? Like
I would maybe. Oh God. I'd put Watkins in for Odegaard, swap him in.
Anyway.
I'd keep Watkins because he's got a double coming up and he plays in the blank week.
That's why I'm thinking of selling Haaland. But like,
yeah,
it's Haaland. You know,
I think
the safe option to protect rank, and the way I have played the game all season is very much thinking about protecting my rank first and foremost. So the sensible safe option, if I want to stick to my guns, and the way I've played has gotten me to a very, very good rank, is to sell Watkins.
Or maybe James.
The risky play is to sell Haaland. You know,
maybe I was thinking get rid of Tarkowski because he's gash.
Yeah.
Buy a Brentford defender and put a Brentford defender in for Odegaard because you've got a double game there.
But I have to have Tony. Like the move I have to make is Ivan Toney.
Yeah, mate, you need to make Ivan Toney.
Yeah, I have to. Yeah, I'm not going to go without him this week because I want to captain him as well. You know, so I'm more like I'm 60-40 that I just sell Watkins and play it safe and protect myself from Haaland. But when I do my FPL team and I look forward, it looks so nice without Haaland because I have Watkins sitting there for an extra game in 28, an extra doubler in 29. You know, so it's like it's one of those. It's one of those dilemmas.
It's just that it's Haaland, isn't it? It's just that it's Haaland.
It is. And like, you know, as I said, I've played very conservatively and very safely. That goes against everything I've done. And if that fucks up, I'll kick myself for having been so sensible. Like, you know, for 26 weeks, I've been sensible and slow progress and played it the way I wanted to play it. And then I took one silly risk and it fucking doubled my rank straight away. You know what I mean? Because literally, if he hauls, I'll go from 9,000 to 20 or 30,000 straight away. It'll just destroy my rank. You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to do that either, you know.
Fine margins, mate. Fine margins.
Fine margins, absolutely. Yeah.
You sound like a football manager, old fan now.
And do you know what'll happen now? I'll keep Haaland and he'll get fucking rested at the weekend because they have Champions League as well on the Tuesday. So like he's going to rest a few, you know.
Oh,
and
no.
One of the reasons I want Odegaard on the pitch as well is Fulham are without, you know, the guy Paulinho that plays he sits in midfield in front of the fence for them, and he's made the most tackles in the Premier League this season. He's a fantastic defensive midfielder, holds the whole team together, and he's not playing. And right where he plays on the pitch is where Odegaard plays. And I can just see Odegaard having a great game against Fulham as well. So it's like I'm desperate to get him on the pitch as well. But the only way I can get Odegaard on the pitch is to sell Haaland. So it's like,
I think it's one of them. Everything you just said made sense. All great logic. All my brain can hear is you can't decide whether to get Haaland or Watkins out.
I know. Yeah, and that's it. Yeah. And like, if it does go wrong, I'll say to myself, what the fuck were you doing choosing Ollie Watkins over Erling Haaland? What were you even thinking in the first place, you know?
You'll get to call yourself an idiot either way. So, you know, it's
Was I a safe idiot? Yeah.
Oh, well, as I said before, my team's pretty much set up as we looked at FPL.
Oh, yeah, he has got the yellow flag there now.
Yeah, I only just noticed it, bringing up my team there. So there we are. Breaking news. I
haven't heard anything during the day. That's interesting.
Illness, yeah. So might affect some people's plans overall. I think I'm happily sticking with what I've got. Like I say, at the minute Ben White's sitting there, I'd happily play him, but I'm probably going to bring in another Brentford player or potentially a Brighton player. But I think the Brentford player is probably the route for me. But I thought one might be more interesting than my lot very quickly as we've got a bit of time. Let's look at Chris Linnaeus team. What do you reckon he's going to be planning? Wild card. He's probably licking his wounds right now with his how the wild card went for him and the rest of them. But that's your, as you said earlier, Andy, it is your template team, but it's your template team for a reason. I think he's very well set up, though, isn't he, for the coming weeks? I think if he was here, he'd be telling us, it's all in hand, lads. Don't worry, I'm set up, and I'm sure he's got some solid transfers.
Yeah, he don't need, to be honest, this week from that, he doesn't need to do much.
No.
Does he? I mean, you could easily just stick
Trippier
and Burn.
Your team, bro.
What's that, mate?
Trippier and Burning, couldn't you? But
yeah,
but it's set up that.
It's amazing how similar to your team that is, Benno.
I know. It's just the goalies, really. It's the only real thing. To be fair, he didn't call it.
Even Andreas on the bench there,
Yeah, Kappa, actually, I've got two. Yeah, it's only Ben, and I've got Rightwell rather than Zinchenko. Literally, that's my team, that. Odegaard as well, as far as he didn't go Martinelli. Yeah, it's quite interesting, that. Hopefully, we'll have him back on the next one to hopefully update. And like we said at the top, I think the coming game week is going to be the real crunch for the wild carders among us. But yeah, with that there, but before we have a look at the overall leagues, we should do what we always do and have a little look at the draft and
best part of the show, Benno.
It's been a funny old week, this one. I beat Will Cooling 39-29. Andy beat Gareth Hodgson 70-39. Wow. And Jamesy 45-37. There's another reason Lene might not be here this week. What happened there, Andy? 70 points. Fuck,
Better than me. Proper team. Mo Salah, Brennan John,
like a wildcat team.
Legend.
Oh, that's funny, because when I offered you for Tony, I offered to take Salah, didn't I?
Yeah.
I think that was part of my plan.
Yeah, the only thing I was disappointed on was Jamie Vardy coming on for the last 10-15 minutes, or Thomas Partey would have come on the bench for 8.
8 points, Jesus.
Solomon for Fulham, he's turning out to be the one to watch, isn't he?
He hasn't really been on my radar, really.
5 out of 5, and he got.
He's been injured. They signed him in the summer, and people were saying he was quite a highly rated player, but then he got a really bad injury, and he only came back a few weeks ago, and he's taken the Premier League by storm.
Every week scoring, isn't he? It's not massive points. But that man, 6, 6, 7.
A lot of those were off the bench, so he only started his first game there on Monday night and scored again.
Yeah, good little pickup there.
I was really happy getting him in the draft, because I know Lene were looking at him and a few others. It's always interesting on that, on the Friday morning when it gets to 11 o'clock and come on, time, hurry up, I want to see what's happened. And you just see the amount of red thumbs down for
It's a sign of a good league that there's so many people. Even last year, I think people gave up after a while, and it felt like there was only me and Lene trying to get people in the net. But everybody's in the waiver this year. I
think what's interesting, Jamesy, as well, when you look at the transactions, for the following week and who's available, there's a lot of good players becoming available now. Yeah. But when you go for your Brighton and Brentford ones, there's
I keep checking those every week, and there's nothing.
Don't go for Danny Welbeck.
I've been looking at future doubles, going, okay, who can I carry on my bench for 3 weeks because they got a double coming? Which is funny. Cause it's such a different mentality, isn't it? Because it's only going to get you 3 points. It might not actually be worth it. You might just be better staying slow and steady with single players. It's only 1 week, isn't it? But it's something to think of. But yeah, league this week as well. Obviously, James, you were on the winning side of this one as well against Lene in the FPL club derby there. Solid that 45
off the bottom. Look, I could have had a monster score. I had fucking 16 points on my bench.
Look at that! Oh, yeah, should be a bench boost in the.
Yeah, if you could, I take that in the normal game. Yeah.
Oh, so you're in 10th at the minute there.
I'm slowly coming off the. We've dragged poor Will down to the bottom. I'm gunning for Matty Edwards now. I'm 1 point behind Edwards. He's the man. He's my target. I want to try and chase him down.
Matty's talking like it's over. It absolutely isn't for Matty. I know he started to make some moves, but he's
it's not.
He's doing all right. He just needs to keep consistent. I think over the next few weeks. But think last week he had a decent little week. Still got Diego Costa there, which is great. That's a throwback pick if I ever
That won
saw
him the
one.
game. He won by a point, and it was like
Oh,
Diego
he did,
Costa
yeah.
coming off. It was Diego Costa coming off the bench that won it for him.
Beat Gareth.
Oh,
It was a
that
really,
one.
really close game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no, he
I
lost by a
he
point. Sorry, yeah.
lost by a point to Connor. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
with the week before, weren't it? Beat Gareth by a point.
That was it.
The irony of
He's
that.
won by a point and lost by a point in the last 2 weeks.
Every bit of point mentioned. Chris Elliott's in the chat there. He says, "Have a look at JP's bench. Let's bring him up. Dr. Harold Shipman against Chris Elliott. You could have beat me. Oh, Sarr it is. I was looking at it going, hang on, he's got no points. It's Sarr, the goalie. Yeah. Oh, De Gea with a -1 as well. Oh, that hurts for JP. That 12-point swing there just on a goalie choice. Devastating. Yeah, it's funny because I was looking at what's he called? Steele. Just honestly, just caught my eye as a free agent. And
I've gone in for him this week as well to get rid of Dubravka.
Whoever's lowest's getting him. So Will, if you watch him, he's yours if you want him. Yeah, he honestly caught my eye last week. Just like, oh yeah, I remember him. Sometimes he had a little run, didn't he, where he played a couple of seasons ago. There you go. Could be a shout. I'm very happy at the minute in the draft. I'm on a real win streak, up to 38 from being in the mire, and I'm looking up rather than looking down at the minute. Yeah, looking at Gareth, only 3 points away. Jordan,
Gareth's dropped, hasn't he?
Yeah,
Gareth's really dropped.
He'll argue his overall points. I'll let him make that argument when he comes back on the podcast at some point. But
I'd argue that every week.
That's very true. But yeah, all still to play for there. And like I say, the money places, Eddie sitting there on top there in good.
I've got Eddie this week.
You could turn that around.
You need to beat him, Andy, or that'll be 9 points ahead if you.
That is the proverbial six pointer.
Yeah.
But I know he's got a couple of like Brighton a couple of doublers in, and I'm trying to get the doublers in just to counteract it. So it's going to be. But you remember the last time we played each other, I won like 83-79. It was that week where we outscored everyone, so it's
proper game that El Clasico, Eddie and Andy Ogden. That's what we want. Another one of them. Me and Matty there in the GRAPPL derby. Looking forward to it. JP and Gareth, 2 GRAPPL derbies. You and Connor, Jamesy, Will and Jordan, and Chris.
Relegation battle.
There's quite. If this was match of the day, few headlines there. There's a Chris battle. There's 2 GRAPPL battles. It's we got Eddie and Andy. It's a good one. That one. Looking forward to it. To this week coming up. But yeah, that's it for the GRAPPL draft league. We should have a look at the proper leagues. And first up as far as the GRAPPL FPL Club League, James, he's still sitting on top. Boring old story. But Gareth is climbing in the proper
Gareth
league.
up to second. Yeah.
We'll give him that. He's had a real good run at the minute. I think he's heavy on Liverpool, isn't he? Salah. It's Salah he had. We've got Ward on the bench as well with 11.
Matt Kilman and Mings in his team still from the other week.
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. So yeah, Gareth is definitely the climber at the minute. Better be looking over your shoulder, Andy. 1 point behind you right now. A few of the chips burning a hole in my pocket, mate. We'll see. So yeah, look forward to that. But yeah, in the overall GRAPPL league, it's pretty much the same at the top. Mark Bleakley on top there. The semi-enders, number 1. Adam Adamski, our good friend, is sitting there at number 2, but only on, I was going to say goal difference. What's separating you, James? Because you got the same points.
I think it's transfers or something, isn't it?
Oh,
Number of transfers, something like that. Yeah.
That's that isn't that insane though. You're in the top 10k, James, and you're not number 1 in the GRAPPL league. Like you just should be in. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
This guy Bleakley, I heard his name on a podcast during the week.
No way.
You know that podcast, Who Got the Assist? You ever listened to that?
Yeah. With the horrendous intro. He got the assist.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it's a good point. I like it actually. But
they take a very data look at it. It's like a
they kind of talk about the psychology of it a little bit. So it's not just about FPL; it's about how you react to having a bad week and all that kind of thing. It's very interesting, I have to say. But they mentioned him as he's top of their league as well. So I don't know. Like, I've searched Twitter trying to find this guy, and I've no idea who he is. But he's top of their mini league as well. Like, yeah.
He's a wild carder as well. And he's still sitting pretty.
So he's listening.
Let's hope he's taking tips from us. Like, where is he overall? 110.
110.
Well,
10, Jesus.
that's not even real. That's
That's
great. I might kick him
bonkers.
out the league. But yeah, like we keep saying, he's not in any other wrestling related leagues. I am.
Yeah, look, who got the
suspicious.
assist mini league? He's number 1. Yeah.
There he is, number 1 in their league. Let's talk FPL. He's only 12 in an Andy's league. Jesus, I think he's probably one of them people who's just joined a load of leagues. When you said you'd heard them reference on a podcast, I thought you were going to say, "Oh, I was listening to some wrestling podcast." Or John and Way mentioned him.
No, just an FPL one, yeah. But I've searched his name. I can't find him anywhere. He's not. I don't think he's on Twitter. Or if he's on Twitter, his handle is
Romania is still there. 10th place. Romania.
Oh, he's had a bit of a drop, hasn't he?
Coming up.
Dan Duca. There you go. 84 points. Didn't wildcard though. Respect. Captain Salah.
Got Neil Mopey.
Captain Salah. Why did he buy Mopey? Oh, he probably bought him for the double game week there.
Oh, yeah. I'd have got shut of him.
Who's captain and Salah against United? I mean, I know if we could hindsight's 2020. Well,
some shout, in fairness, yeah.
What a shout! I love that. Great work. But yeah, outside of that, as far as names are recognised near the top, Gareth, like you say, flying into the
shooting up,
yeah. There. Jordan. Yeah, couple of notable names there. JP, 32nd there. Doing all right, JP. 51 points. He's got if Arsenal do well, JP does well is probably the general rule, isn't it? And,
I think you get rid of Mahrez out of them, won't he?
Oh, you know what? We probably should have talked when we were talking about like the game week just gone. That Arsenal Bournemouth game. What a game it was overall. By the way, just throw that in there quickly. Like I only think of it because of JP. Like his heart must have been going that day. That last minute winner. Like it doesn't come sweeter than that, does it?
Nah. You start to think when that kind of stuff starts happening, you start thinking, Jesus, maybe
you
this
think Man United from the 90s, don't you, James?
Remember Steve Bruce scored 2 goals in the last minute? Yeah. They were Sheffield Wednesday. Fergie was on the pitch on his knees. Yeah. But you just start to think when stuff like that starts going your way, you really start to believe. And I mean, if the fans are believing it, imagine how the players must feel,
JP's not asked about the fantasy anymore. It's more the real
football. The real thing. Yeah. That's understandable in fairness.
Good luck to him. Roberto Carlos still sitting at the bottom there on his 9. He hasn't even cracked 1,000 yet. I think he's dead. But yeah, look, good news is other than Lee Malone, don't recognize Jordan Varley as well. Don't recognize many other names there in the bottom lot. And I'm sure no one's going to admit they're in there. But yeah,
Martin's I think moved up a bit. Remember Martin was down there?
Yeah,
a few weeks.
As far as all that goes, it was Martin and it was Matty. There's Matty 143, slipping a little bit. He's flipped Matty depending on the week. What's the proper league, the draft or the proper one? I think it's the draft again now. He's not doing so well in the old proper league. But there's Martin 135. Not a great week for Martin, but out of the mire, so not doing too badly. There's Will as well. Will's team always called another team with Salah. I don't remember that. He hasn't even got Salah. What's he on about?
On paper, that don't look a bad side, what he's got there. But De Bruyne and Almiron have done nothing for weeks.
Need some TLC, that I think. But overall, on paper, like you say, not too bad. But there we go. That's the great and good. That's the leagues, and yeah, that's the show. Obviously, next week we've got the blank game week, which is one. Obviously, everyone should keep one eye on that, as we've talked about. We've then got it's an international break, isn't it, after that, Jamesy, and then we're right back to the fun stuff as far as the doubles go with game week 29. So yeah, we'll be back in with game week 29. But yeah, before that, any plugs, lads? I know you've got one, Andy, this week.
Yeah, just started a new show on GCP, Podcast One, with the one and only Matty Edwards. It's titled Shite. As we started to talk about 10 of the worst cage matches ever. So go and give that a listen. It was a lot of fun recording with Matty. And also, one more plug. Next week is the Cheltenham Festival, so I'll be posting tips every day to make the Twitterverse money. Oh, lose it.
follow Andy if you want money. I put some bets on at the weekend, but it was on the wrestling, mate. So
don't bet.
Businesses now, gambling on wrestling.
Apparently, we're all getting involved, aren't we now?
Oh, yeah.
I realize we can get the beak wet with that. But no, I was going to say, Andy, yeah, I'm looking forward to listening to that. You and Matty. Matty does more podcasts than me now. He's got that.
He's really got the bug, hasn't he?
Really has, yeah. We got loads coming up on GRAPPL as well, some of which I can't announce yet, but plenty of Matty involved in it. But yeah, anyone listening to this knows all the GRAPPL stuff. But yeah, for you, Jamesy, at Jamesy2015 on Twitter for great AEW takes and general shithousery as far as being on the lineup.
General trolling.
My favorite Twitter account. Always give it a like. I've got notifications on for you, James. That's the highest
Jesus Christ.
praise I can give anyone on Twitter. There's a select. I've got maybe about 15 accounts with notifications on. CM Punk's another one, so you're doing great.
In there with the punker. That'll do me, Benno. That'll do me.
Always love a good Jamesy tweet. So yeah, there you go. Follow Jamesy on Twitter. But yeah, outside that, like I say, we'll be back in a couple of game weeks, which will be a few weeks as far as with the international break in the middle. But yeah, go forth, folks. Enjoy the doubles coming up. Have a great night and have a great weekend. We'll see you again soon.
Jason Steele.
Hey, good night,